This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective podcast. All right, welcome to the podcast today. I've been looking forward to this interview for a little while now since I got this set up, and I am joined today by Mr. Chad McCoin. How's it going, Chad?
No, it's going pretty great.
Man, like I told you before we hit record here, I have been looking forward to this interview. I think it's widely known I am a black and tan fan at heart. Unfortunately, I do not have one at this time in my kennel, but I love to see a good black dog work that knows what they're doing in treating a coon. And like I said, I know your name and I know some of the dogs associated with your name, but I started doing a little digging and, a little more digging, trying to make sure I knew my stuff whenever I talked to you today. And I guess I didn't really know what I thought I knew, because when I started digging, man, there's a lot of nice black and tan dogs that's associated with you that have done a lot of winning.
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate, I can say, at that.
Yeah. Well, before we get into all that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Well, Chad McCoin, I'm 44 years old. I live in Hartford City, Indiana. Lived here my whole life. I shoe horses for a living, and then I do a lot of hay baling, and I got like 200 head of feeder calves that I feed out and take to market. That's kind of stay busy at that.
I'm fitting to say, I don't know how you have time to coon hunt.
Well, I'll just say from about May to August, I don't do a lot of hunting then. But from the rest of the time, from about autumn oaks on, I do all the way up through to the Winter Classic. That's kind of like when I do most of my hunting.
Yeah. So how did you get into coon hunting?
Well, my dad, he always coon hunted when I was little, and he kind of got out of it I'd say in the 80s, when the fur market, because he was a hide hunter, he just pleasure hunted. And when the fur market kind of crashed, he kind of got out of it. And then I remember I was like, probably 12, 13. I told him I wanted a dog, and he decided to. He knew some dog traders and ended up getting a couple walker dogs, and I started just pleasure hunting then. But we went like every night during kill season. Now all summer long we didn't hunt. We was just pleasure hunters,
Yeah.
But then the fur market kind of came back, and he's getting $10 to $20 out of them, and it was kind of nice when you was a kid to get that money.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm from Southeast Alabama originally, so there was never a fur market for me. We just done it because we were nuts. But my stepdad, he never hunted in the summer at all. Probably we'd hunt a little bit, through March, and depending on the weather, maybe a little bit in April, but mainly that dog got put up till, mid to late September. Now, we hunted just about every night from September on. But where we were from, snakes was you just dealt with those. They were just around all the time. But, yeah.
We ain't got to worry about that here.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So you started with those walker dogs, just pleasure hunting. Is that what you kind of had growing up all the time with walker dogs?
Dad he liked going to like dog trades and stuff like that. So we'd always have an assortment of dogs. So he liked black and tans, and I think we bought a black and tan. Well, he's like 14 months old or 12 months old. I can't remember. But the night we bought him, it was like the night before coon season, and it was a black and tan named Big Whiskey Pete. He was off of Big Whiskey Pete, and I called him Pete. But he was I remember the first night we took him to the woods, he ran a tree to coon, and the guy, all he did was work him on some drags. That was it. But anyhow, he ended up getting killed that kill season, and he got hit by a car. He actually run a deer and ran to the highway and got hit. But then I had blue dogs. I kind of stuck with the blue dogs for a little while, and that's what right before I got this line of dogs I have now. But
Yeah, and that was something, I was trying to look through some of the pedigrees on some of the dogs, and before we get talking about some of these dogs that you had, and like I said, there's way more than what I even realized. What is the line? I know your line is Black River, but is that made up of from originally?
so Dana and Freeland White in northern Ohio, up by Sullivan, Ohio. Pretty sure it's where it was. They was just pleasure hunters, and they had the dogs that they called the Black River dogs, but they originated from like Skaggs, the Slammer, Randy Skaggs' dogs, and then they had some set 'em up ace in them, and but that's where they actually originated from.
Okay, okay, yeah,
And I just kept the Black River name after I got them from them.
yeah, yeah. Looking through the pedigrees, I I've talked to Mr. Randy before, and I've seen some of his stuff, and um, it was kind of a little bit of everything, and I thought, well, maybe maybe mixing all that together has been the combination because, like I said, you've definitely done your share of winning, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, when did you go to your first competition hunt?
Oh, I think I was probably 16 or 17. I don't think I went any early. Well, I think my dad drove me to one when before I was 16, but I had a blue dog, and I actually won it's called a Governor Cup qualifier, and I think I got third with that dog that night. But he chewed horribly, or I'd have got first. he he the two got him two times when he was treed, so I got minus 125 each time. But anyhow, he ended up getting third that night. And then I remember, I think the next hunt I went to, I was driving, and I got scratched for that was the back in the day when you had to call your dog on or before the third bark.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And my dog was in there barking, and I was actually hunting an English dog at that time. And the guy asked, I was winning the cast, and he says, "What dog is that?" And I was like, sitting there, I was like, "Well, I think that's mine." As soon as he got treed, I said, "Well, go ahead and strike and tree." His name was Rebel. I said, "Strike and tree Rebel," and that guy, he said, "Well, you're scratched." Then I was thinking, man, I don't really like these hunts.
Yeah, yeah, you went from one extreme to the other real
I
quick
was
there.
like, oh my! I was thinking, man, I don't know about this, and because I didn't know the rules. You got to know the rules.
You know, it's funny you brought that up. You see on Facebook and people talk about being cheated, and I'm not saying that don't go on. That's not what I'm saying at all. But
Yeah.
if you know the rules and you have to apply those rules in whatever way you
Yeah.
can, whether it's putting a question or getting a panel together, you can stop about 75% of that's going on out there. That
I was gonna say most of the time I feel like when people say they got cheated or something, it's because they don't know the rules and somebody just enforced the rule.
Yeah, yeah. I I literally have had that happen this year, and it was,
Yeah.
and I don't blame a person on the cast. It was my fault. I should have enforced the rules. Them guys just went with it as long as they could, and it benefited them. And I should have spoke up and said something, and I didn't. And it cost me getting in a pretty good cast, final four cast. But that's what happens. You got to know the rules, and you got to be willing to not lose your temper and show out. Just enforce the rule.
Oh yeah.
Use them to your advantage also. Um,
Yep.
so after the English dog scratching there, Where did you go from there as far as dogs and competition hunting?
I really didn't competition hunt them. I would get like I said, I didn't hunt all summer long, and then about September, October, I'd look in the magazine and see, oh, there's a hunt coming up, and well, heck, I ain't hunted the dog, all summer long. And then I would take one of the blue dogs or whatever, and I'd win a cast here or there, and but I really didn't get serious about it until I got the buddy dog, and actually I was made it a point that I was going to hunt every night and going to make this dog really something. But the original dog that kind of started it all was my hammer dog, was right before Buddy. But I just, like I said, I made him a night champion, but I never really pushed him in no hunts. But Buddy was the one that I actually started pushing.
So the hammer dog, and he come from that same line of
Yep,
stuff that you got from those guys.
yep. He
So
was actually the first one I got from him.
okay, so he's kind of your foundation, I guess, of what you have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So how did he operate? What did he sound like? How did he operate in the woods?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll tell the story from the beginning. I remember going to Autumn Oaks, and there was this young kid. Well, he was 16, 17. He had a flyer made up, and it said Black River Hammer on it. And he was like, I can't remember if he's 12 or 14 months old. And he said he wanted $900 for him. So, dog treater. I'm thinking, well, I'll get 500, and he wouldn't take it. So I go home, and I had that flyer, and I think I called him, and he said he just sold the dog, and they went to like Virginia or West Virginia. It was probably a few weeks later he called me back and said he got the dog back because he went too far. And I was like, oh well. He said he actually needed like truck insurance money of $700, and he come up. He said he'd bring him to my house and show him. So he brought him here, and I had the blue dogs at the time, and we went to the woods. And he actually treats like 6 coon on my best blue dog. I
Oh
was thinking,
wow.
oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll take him. But first off, I had to like try to wheel and deal and try to get him a little cheaper. But I, I traded him like a 22 rifle and like $625.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That
But
those are my kind of deals there.
yeah. So I didn't really realize what I had like I would know today. But he was a dead loner, and it was before you had a Garmin. It was the beep beeps, and he would be treed somewhere. And he was good about having a coon. And like I said, he would not. You could pull him off of a tree, and another dog was treed right real close. You could send him right to it, and he'd just go right on by him. And then what was crazy, if he was running a track with another dog, and say that dog treed ahead of him, he'd just go on and tree his own.
That would be
So he would
handy.
even.
That would be handy
I was
today.
like, man, and that's like, just the natural independence right there.
Yeah. So,
And like I said, I didn't know what I had at the time, or I would love to have another one like that, like him.
yeah. And you said your buddy dog was out of this dog, right?
No, they was
Oh,
the
okay.
same. So Buddy was I think it's Buddy's dad and Hammer's mom was litter mates. And
Okay.
Buddy had some Nelson's his mom was out of Nelson's Northern Cash, Jeff Nelson's dog. And so they came from he came from the whites. Raised Dane and Freeland raised them as pups and then sold them.
Got you.
Yeah.
So that the hammer dog you had that was independent like that, did you ever have a chance to breed him, get him pups out of him?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I actually got frozen semen on him. He's got 47 pups. I got some papers back the other day, and it seemed like all the dogs that was he had 7 titled pups out of 47 dogs, and they was all like big winners, like for black dogs. they Hammer was just, he was probably the best reproducer that I ever had. If I would have could have bred him more, but I actually used frozen semen and got Ponto. That's what Ponto's off of.
Okay.
And but like I said, I had a Muffy female that was off of him that I won the baby stakes with, and there's some frozen semen pups now that are like 5, 4 or 5, and that are really nice dogs that's out of him.
Okay. Um. So, whenever you were breeding him, did you have the females, or was people bringing the females to you, or
No,
both?
nope. And this I'll say the black and tan breed, you could win a hunt, you can win 90% of the hunts, and if people get jealous and they, they just they don't haul that many to you. So I actually had to buy my own females to really get these pups out there. Like, and I did that more with Buddy than I did with anything.
Okay. So, whenever you was you looking for anything in particular when you was looking for these females, or was you just trying to pick up something you thought would cross good?
Well, I would try to get stuff that was, you know, like bred nice. Well, what I consider, you know, like some out of some dogs that had one already. But I really now I'm pretty particular. Like when I'm breeding females now, I want them to be a good dog. Not saying that dogs that can't tree coon can't reproduce, but I want them to be a good dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Winners to winners. That
Yeah.
that I mean, it don't matter what breed you're talking to, but it's not just a black and tan breed. I'm hunting English dogs right now, and it's that way in that breed, and I'm sure it's that way in other breeds. The only one that's seemed to overcome that is the Walker breed, and they can have a knockdown drag out fight on Saturday night, and Sunday morning if that female comes in
And
heat,
still,
they're hauling it to them.
that's the truth. Yep. Yep.
So
That is the truth.
okay, so you got Buddy and you start pushing him. What's some things you done with Buddy as far as winning wise?
Well, Buddy, I'll just tell you how he operated. He was a good strike dog. He was a big hunting dog. He was pretty much all by himself all the time. Good about having coons. But I remember I went to Black and Tan days. I won all 3 nights. I didn't get King of Hunt, just missed out of that one night here. This was all in the same year. I won first at Walker Days in the Grand Nights with him. I won first at English Days in the Grand Nights with him. Then I was in the top 100, I think 3 times with him, 3 or 4 times. And then what else did I win? He was third in the breed hunt and PKC Black and Tan days. Trying to think. I, it's been so long ago. I mean, I have a
That that
big banner. I mean, I used to, at one time, I'd won 75% of my cast. Like I kept out of like 50 cast.
yeah.
He'd won 75% of them.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, he was consistent.
yeah. Well, first place at Walker Days, first place at English Days.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew he was a black and tan.
Oh no, like I mean, a lot of Walker people, they was like, my gosh, he's not a black and tan.
Yeah.
They'd be like, holy crap.
So I want to talk about the other dogs too, but um, with Buddy, did he reproduce his likeness? Did he cross better on something a line better than others?
But he reproduced some pretty good ones. I'd say the one that I think was closest to him was my Simple Life Sadie dog, which that was her. She was a Grand Night in UKC, and I called her Black River Sadie in PKC, but she was very similar to him. And
Okay.
then I'm trying to think, but he threw some, like the females seem to be pretty open on the ground. Jeff Nelson's Dixie dog, she's a platinum champion. Um, she was off of Buddy and Duel and Dixie Jim. He crossed pretty well on about everything. I would say, like if you had a litter of 8. I think there's going to be one or two that was going to be exceptional, and the others just might be mediocre. But
Gotcha.
he was going to throw at least one or two that was like could win at any level.
Okay. Um, so you mentioned PKC and UKC. Do you run, or have you always run both of them equally, or did you lean one way or the other? Or
In the beginning, I just pretty much ran UKC all the time, and then there was a club. It used to be called the Montpelier Club, which is now it's the Hartford City Club. Um, I was like, well, we ought to start going to PKC because I had Buddy, Buffy, and Rapper, and another dog named Blackie at the same time, and all my buddies they'd go hunting with me. Well, we'd show up with 3 or 4 dogs, and we'd win all 3 casts.
yeah,
So we was like, huh, we're just. Then we started going to some more of the PKC hunts, and I would say it's more equal now. Um, but in the beginning, it was definitely UKC.
well, I mean, say what you want to, anybody can, but it's pretty nice when they hand you a few of them greenbacks at the end of the night instead of a piece of paper, and at least help you out a little bit on some gas or
Oh
something.
yeah,
But yeah, you talk
yeah, like
about showing up with 3 dogs and winning. I got in on the Pro Slam at Winter Classic this year, and of course I was guiding. And when I seen the list come out, I thought, my goodness, how many dogs does Chad have up there?
yeah, yeah. We got a few, but like I said, we don't hunt as hard as we used to. But like I said, we still try to have a decent dog to compete with.
Yeah. So sounds like you were kind of pushing a few dogs at one time there. What was your next dog there
Oh
after Buddy? I know Rapper was right along
well,
in there, and
my Buffy female was his first litter, Buddy's first litter, and I actually got her from. I think when I had bought Buddy from Dana White, um, he had just bred him to. He was just a PR dog, but he had just bred him to a female and got Buffy, and then I ended up buying her when she was like 6 months old off of him. But she was everybody's nightmare. She was wound tight. She was a first strike dog, no matter what. Um, she'd be running the track, and everybody thinks she's babbling, and she would just all of a sudden be treed and just shut them out. But she was the type she'd tree her own, get a piece of yours, the kind that everybody hates to draw.
yeah, yeah.
And like I said, she was pretty good for me. I can't complain. Um,
That type
I
of
pushed.
dog, I think you're going to see come back with, um, especially with people moving out of the city into the country and they're buying up, breaking up farms and buying up smaller pieces. I mean, we're going to have to at some point. It ain't going to be able to be deep and lonely. You're going to have that one that gets their own and gets a piece of another one. I think to be able to continue doing what we love to do. I think.
Oh yeah, like I said, I would take another one like her in a heartbeat. Like I said, she'd make everybody pull her hair. Because like I said, you get her out of the truck, she was barking. I mean, she was barking. You could strike her pretty much as soon as you cut her because she wasn't going to shut up. And like I said, she'd get treed by herself, and she wasn't afraid to tree with another one. And I got in the final four at Autumn Oaks, the Grand 16 with her. I think she won the national black dog part of it twice. Um, she was the type you didn't hardly have to hunt either. I could pull her off of pups and take her to a hunt. And I remember doing this a couple of different times and scoring 700 in an hour.
Wow.
Like she was a freak.
Yeah. Those are nice to have. That's for sure.
Yeah. The ones that you don't have to keep hunted up are real nice ones.
Yeah. And of course, I know you got several dogs there, and I know you know how much work it is, but I I have yet to figure out how to keep more than probably two in good hunted up shape. I mean, it's just tough without some help of friends or whatever around
Oh
you,
yeah.
it's tough to keep them hunted up. I mean, I bred my female one time and she had 11, and I just sold the last pup and I kept her. She was the one I picked to keep, but my work schedule just would not allow for me. I felt like to do her justice, and this young kid over in Virginia hunts every night, and his mom was okay with him getting it and wanted him to have it, and I thought, I'd love to hang on to her, but I'm not doing that dog justice. I need to let somebody else enjoy her, right now, because I have a hard enough time keeping the two I've got in good enough shape to keep hunted up, because you have to keep mine hunted up. I wish mine was like that where you didn't have to.
That's one thing I can say about this line that I've noticed. Um, they're not the type that I have to hunt every night. I can I can not hunt them for 2 weeks and pull them out, and they'll still the same dog. I've even
Yeah,
done it, had them not hunt for a month, and go to a hunt and still win.
yeah. Yeah, my older female's not quite as bad as the younger one I have, but she's my older one is 4, and the younger one just turned 2, which she's still young. But um, you have to keep the younger one. She has to be hunted up pretty hard to be where I like for one to be anyway.
Yeah. Yep. No, but then I remember there'd be a hunt, and I'd have 4 dogs out here. I'd have Buddy, Buffy, Rapper, and old Blackie, and I'd have to flip a quarter on which one I was going to take that night.
I was going to say, how do you decide?
Like I'm like, well, I guess this one's going to go tonight, and I if I could have just concentrated on one dog and pushed it, it's hard telling what that one could have won.
Yeah,
Instead of taking 4 different dogs and trying to, I wanted them all to win, so that's why I was always hunting something different.
yeah. It and it's tough. I mean, you think I got this one dog I like, she's pretty good or he's pretty good or whatever, and then well, I need to get something else going. What if something happens to it?
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and it don't take but just a time or two of that thought, and next thing you know, you got 6 or 7 out there, and there's no way you can hunt them all. So yeah, it's tough whenever you have more than 2 or 3 to keep up and keep ready, and especially if you're going to try to keep them in tip top shape to run hunts in.
Yes.
And how do you pick what you're going to hunt? I mean, with a pen full of good ones like that, it sure makes it tough on a guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had uh, Rapper and Blackie at
I
the
got.
same time, right?
Yep. Rapper. I'm trying to think. Rapper was right after Buffy. Actually, I think I had Blackie before I had Buffy, and my buddy Mike Poe hunted her a lot for me, and she was a dead loner type dog. She was extremely nice hound. She didn't reproduce very good. There's a couple pups out of her but she didn't throw much. But she was Hammer's half sister. They both had the same mom. And then I got Rapper from Dana when he was like 8 or 9 months old, and he was off of Buddy. And Rapper was a nice one. He could treat any type of coon. He was pretty tight on the ground, but he was a good hunting dog by himself all the time. He didn't like dogs that tree jacked. I know that. Like there's a few times we had a few issues, but like I said, I won a lot of hunts with Rapper too. I think he won the black dog part of the Autumn Oaks 3 times in the Grand Nights. He's in the top 16 3 times.
Okay. Yeah, that tree jacking can upset several of them. they don't
He
they don't like it when
definitely
they get fought on.
like I said, he wasn't mean, but he didn't like getting them falling on him because he was gonna put an end to it.
Yeah. So, Um, you got all a stable full there of sounds like of good dogs. Was you breeding very many females at this time, or just your own, or?
I was pretty much Buddy was starting to breed more outside females, but I'd say the first I think Buddy ended up with 200 and a little over 200 pups, and I'd say 120 of them was females that I'd bred, pup wise, and then the rest was some outside females, and then Rapper he got to breed. He started breeding some females. It was like the more it's like you have to get established, in my opinion, in the black and tan breed before it seems like the outside people really start coming to you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. So, what dog did you push after those dogs?
We had Sadie, and me and my buddy Brad Heil owned her together. She was off of Buddy and Jeff Nelson's Mandy 2 female. And I, I remember taking her to Super Stakes the first year, and I think I won every early round cast with that dog. And I just could not get past the early round. And she was a super nice dog, but she wanted Autumn Oaks. She was queen of hunt at Black and Tan Days, and then she won the breed hunt the same year, PKC breed hunt. Um, we hunted her. She was in the top 100, I think, once or twice. Um, she was a good female. And then now, actually, she's on the historical list for reproducing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that late round at Super Stakes or the PKC World seems to elude a few people.
I tell you what, it was like the UKC. I've been in the top 100 7 times, and this till this last year is the time I finally cracked the top 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been there 7 times, and I was thinking, my goodness, it was like my kryptonite.
Yeah. Well, you get to that point, and you're not going to draw a slouch, or very few if you do. So,
Yeah,
you're going to have your hands full. I mean, those guys going to that Super Stakes are not paying that money to be bringing something that they don't feel confident can win. So, you're
no,
going to have your hands full on every cast you draw. And, then once you get to probably even the zones, but once you get to that top 100, with UKC, it's kind of the same deal. You're probably not going to draw, some slouch dog
no.
that's not going to go out there and perform. And it's definitely accomplishment to make it 7 times. How many different dogs is that?
Buddy, Buffy, um, Gaucho, Lefty, and Sadie. I think that's it.
Yeah. So to make it 7 times with your line of dogs, man, that's I mean, if we just quit talking right now, we ain't even got to the 2 dogs that I really know about. If we just quit talking right now, I mean, that's quite an accomplishment in itself to make it there like that, and then not counting all the other stuff that they won. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, I started, trying to do a little research, and I know who Chad McCoin is. I mean, I don't know you, but I know your name, and I'm familiar with what dogs are yours, and I kind of had an idea of, hey, these dogs keep popping up here, popping up there, and they're doing some winning. But when I really got to digging in, I thought, man, this guy has really done quite a bit of winning, and not just winning with these couple of dogs. It's like been a lifetime of it.
I I've had this line for 20 some years now, and like I said, I I've been very fortunate with them. It's hard for hey, I can't stray away. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
So
I actually after Sadie, well, the same time I had Sadie is I actually had the one I called Black River Muffy and she was off a Hammer and Buffy, and she was a frozen semen pup, and I won the baby stakes with her when she was 9 months old.
Man, I, I've got a English male pup that I got a guy up in northern Missouri hunting right now for me, and that's my whole goal with him is to take him. His baby stakes is going to be this fall, is to have him ready to take up there. So and anymore you go out there and you draw, you think, oh, it's a baby stake. You ain't got to have that much of a dog. You better be packing a dog now if you want to win it.
I tell you, when I'd won it, it was crazy. My buddy Brad, he had one, and we both had him at a starting pin. I think I forget. I don't even know if it's still one in Illinois or not. But we had two pups out. We had Muffy and another dog, and we went and got them. It was like a few weeks before, and I took Muffy out like 5 times, and I seen she split treed from her mom, and I was like, oh, okay. And I wasn't even going to go. And he's like, oh, you ought to go. You ought to go. I'll drive. I said, okay. So I went. In the first round, she treated a coon and then just stayed out of trouble. The next late round, dogs was slick treeing and just leaving. And I was naive. And I was thinking, man, she got struck and then came back to us once and then went back out and got struck. And then the other dogs had so much minus, and she got treed right there at the end of the hunt. And she had a den tree, and that's what won. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
But she made the only legit tree. But every hunt that she had won was at a major event. She made Grand Night, but she died when she was 4 years old. She got hung in a tree by her Garmin collar. That the limb went in, and them prongs, on the Garmin. She got laryngeal paralysis. And I took her to Purdue trying to get her fixed. And they said, no, you're going to have to retire her and this and that. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just breed her. Well, they said, if you breed her, it'd probably kill her. And I was thinking, oh, how's that going to kill her, And I bred her and she died a week before she had the pups.
oh man,
So then I felt horrible. But what it was, it's like in horses that they call it, it's a tieback surgery. They aspirate, and she didn't have like a gag reflex, and her food, she just pretty much got pneumonia and died.
wow. I had a buddy who was just talking to me last week about those lock things that go on the Garmin collars where people can't take them off, and I
Yep.
had that. I had that conversation with him about. My only thing is, what if they get hung and they can't pull that collar off? Most time they can anyway, but what if they could have pulled it off and they can't because that thing's locked on there? And that man, that's a bad deal there, to
Yeah,
especially at that
she'd
young of a.
actually she pulled her collar off. I remember we was walking into the tree, and I said, "What is that hanging in that tree, like real low?" And I seen the light like blinking on it, and I was like, "That's her damn Garmin collar." And what it was is she jumped up on that tree, and that limb got right underneath there, and she slipped it. But when she slipped it, which I didn't realize it for about a week or so, and I noticed her gagging in the kennel, and then I was like, "What's going on?" I took her to the vet. She ended up having pneumonia, and then found out she had laryngeal paralysis.
Wow, man, that's tough to lose one that nice at that young of an age.
Oh yeah, she was one of my favorites. Just all natural. She was a dead loner. Like that's one thing about these dogs. Most of them, they're just independents. You don't. It's not man made. It's bred into 'em.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not having to do any setting them up or anything like
No,
that. It's just
if you
natural.
if you have to do any setting up, it's normally just a couple times when they're young, and it's like that's it.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't want one that I got to stay on top of backing and stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree. They need to have it in them to be willing to do it on their own. That's for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
So where were we at here on the dogs after that?
So I had Sadie and Muffy, and then I bred a Rapper to Sadie and got a dog named Cardi B. I still have her. She's 9 now. She's getting ready to have pups any day. But anyhow, she she's a nice dog. Hunted good. She got second in a breed hunt one year. Won at Walker Days with her. My buddy Brad hunted her mainly. Um, I think she'd won some casts at the zones, but she never doubled up or nothing. But she was always got a big mouth for female.
Yeah.
I actually gave her away as a puppy to Nick Emmel. I don't know if you know Nick. He's a big Walker guy up here. And I bought her back off of him when she was like 11 months old.
Being you said that about the mouth, I meant to ask you this in the beginning. If me and you were, if I come up there and we went out to hunt and we were sitting on the tailgate hunting any of these dogs, what kind of mouth, are we going to hear? Track mouth, tree mouth, that type of thing.
You're you're going to hear all different kinds out of all these different dogs. I've had Buffy was a high pitch that you could hear for like 2 miles, chop mouth. Um, Buddy, he was more of a ball mouth, chop tree. All my dogs, majority of them's 100 plus on the tree when they tree. Um,
So you
like I say, I would say they're more chop mouth than they are ball mouth.
are they chop and just roll into treeing, or are they chop and got to locate before they tree, or
Some of them's got locates. Like Lefty, he don't. I wouldn't consider Lefty have a real good locate. But most of them all had a decent locate. Poncho probably had one of the best locates.
I have. Well, I don't have him anymore. A buddy of mine in North Carolina's got him, but I bought this English dog several years ago, and he's chopped all the way, no locate, and it drove me crazy when I first got him, because my the black and tan I had was out of Wheeler and Fiddler and some of that stuff back then, and they were ball mouth dogs on the track, and you know big dying locates rolled over and just a steady chop, and that's kind of what I always look for in hunting. And I got this dog, and I'm thinking I'll never be able to call this dog in a hunt because I can't tell when he's treed. And I just hunted him and hunted him and hunted him and hunted him until, I knew him, knew every bark he'd make, knew, what he was doing when he was doing it. Anyway, I got mad at him and I sold him. I bought this female I got now, and she's she's a ball mouthed dog on track, and then if she's chopping, she's treed. But the
Yeah.
crazy thing is, I hunted that chop mouth thing for so long. I don't know why, but I had a super hard time calling this dog when I first got her back. Or got her. It was just weird to me that I always grew up with a dog like I got now, and I hunted that chop mouth dog, and right now today I still feel like I could call him better than I could the dog that I have in my kennel right now.
Uh, yeah.
So what dog did you have next there?
I had Cardi, and then pretty sure that's about the time I bred Hammer to my buddy Brad Hiles, the Embry female. It was a Grand Night female he had that was pretty nice that we always hunted together. And I bred the Frozen Seaman to her and got 3 pups, and one of them was Poncho. And I gave Poncho away to my buddy Trace Craig. He's real good at starting young dogs. And Trace called me up when he was like, I think he was a little over a year old. And I bought him, and he was running and treeing. And I put that kill season on him. And Poncho he was a hard going dog, good about having coons, had an extremely good locate. Poncho's what really turned a lot of people's heads when it come to like when I show up to uh, the top 16 for the Class 6 champions. I think he was in it 4 times. I won it once with him. He was in the Final Four like 3 times, I think 3 or 4 times. But the black and tan people, that's when I started breeding more outside females than I did my own with Poncho. And he made Hall of Fame. I really like Poncho, but he was still trashy till the day he died. I mean,
Yeah.
and when he was young, he was possum crazy. That sucker, I remember going to the woods the first night of opening night of kill season when I first got him from Trace. I think I got him from Trace in September, and our kill season came in November. And I remember going to the woods, and a possum ran out in front of me, and I hit it in my Polaris Ranger. I didn't think nothing of it. Turned him loose in the woods, and he goes in there and gets treed. Well, I go in there and it's a possum. I was like, well, hell, that's the first possum he's ever treed for me. So I just scolded him a little bit and recut him. I think he treed 5 that night. I was
Oh
like,
my
oh
goodness,
my
yeah.
gosh. And then, he'd run deer. But once when he had his A game on and let mess off game, you couldn't beat him.
Boy, he sounds like a wipeout black and tan. If you hear them boys tell the story about the wipeout dogs, they left a trail of destruction between them and the tree of everything.
I remember I took him. There was a guy in Ohio. I think it was for $15, and nobody knew his trick. You left your dog there with your dog box. Come back in an hour. And I remember dropping him off, and the guy said, "Oh, he likes him pretty good." And but the thing is, they didn't look like they whipped the dog, shocked him. I don't know what he did to him, but he said you might have to bring him back. And I think I brought him back 2 other times. And what it did is it made him like where he would either tree and then leave before you get there, or he would tree a tree over from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he got smart. Like, he realized little bitty trees associated with a possum. But there was a few times that he treed a coon on a little bitty tree, and he wanted to leave it because he was thinking he was going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, the English dog I told you I got mad at, him and Poncho somewhere had some kinfolks together, is all I want to say.
Oh, it could be frustrating, but like I said, if he wasn't messing with all, and the older he got, he was a lot better. But like I said, he'd still get one once in a while. But he died last August. He was only 8, and I hated it. He tested positive for blasto, and so we treated him for blasto, and then he got lymphoma, and ended up dying on me.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's a bad deal there.
yeah. He just turned 8 years old, and like I said, he was on the reproducers list. Buddy and Rapper and Buffy and Sadie actually was all on the reproducers list at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what all? Let's go through what kind of highlight reel of what Poncho won. You know.
He'd won at Autumn Oaks. He won first place in the night champions. I think when he was registered, he won. I think it was 8th at Autumn Oaks. He had won a bunch of early cast wins at Super Stakes. Trying to think of everything. Winter Classic. I'd won multiple casts and placed down there with him. I think the PKC breed hunt, he'd won it. Trying to think of what else. I had a list a while back. Oh, pretty much at every breed hunt that I took him to, he'd won.
Yeah. So needless to say, it didn't matter. He could win wherever.
Oh yeah, like I said, he was Hall of Fame. I
Yeah.
made him UKC Hall of Fame. He would actually been the first one for male dog. Actually, there's the first one it ever was for black and tan was the Dixie dog, which was off of Buddy. She was the first black and tan dog. And then Poncho would have been second, but he got sick, and I needed 2 more cast wins. and I had to get him over the Blasto, and then he finally got his 2 other cast wins. But 2 other dogs had got made it right before he did.
Got you.
But he was in that Classics champion that Black and Tan Days have. Oh, I think he was in the final 4. I think 4 times.
Yeah. Wow. Um. So what dog was next after Poncho?
Lefty.
Okay.
So I got Lefty. I'd bred Poncho to Sadie, and this Lefty was Poncho's first litter, and that's actually been one of the best crosses on him. But anyhow, Lefty, I gave him to Trace as a pup, and Trace got him going, and he called me up and he said, "Man, this sucker, he's wild and crazy, wild hunting dog." So I ended up buying him back and taking him, and I was like, "Man, this dog, you can't contain him. Like he was just a freak the way he hunts." And I think I went to the Winter Classic. He was just a night champion, and I think I'd won just to make him night champion. I don't know if he had lost a cast. And then I go down to the Winter Classic and end up getting reserve overall. And I drew a couple Walker guys, and they're like, "Man, that dog's a freak. There's not even Walker dogs that hunt like that." Because he was just so fast. He could tree coon and 50 feet from you and recast him to where this is where other dogs might struggle and, mill around. He'd be a mile within minutes. Treat again.
Yeah, and that's what it takes.
And
They got to move.
so then I went to the Super Stakes with him that year, and on Monday night, and I double up the first night. And I remember, I think it was Dustin Weed he was walking along on the cast, and Dual Murphy was hunting. This is when Ike Rainey had some dogs in it. And a guy asked me, he's like, "What would you take for that dog?" And I was like, I mouth off an astronomical number because I'm like, he's not for sale, so I'll just say something stupid. And so everybody's like, "Oh, okay." So then I go home because I doubled up Monday night. And the next day, Dual calls me, Dual Murphy, and says, "Hey, I think we want to buy your dog." And, Ike was giving a lot of money for dogs.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to sell him." So I remember I go back on Friday, and Dual, I was kind of trying to avoid him. I didn't really want to sell him. And Dual, he had a dog in the finals. And he goes, we end up drawing each other again. And he's hunting a different dog. And he goes, we'll just see. We might buy him. We'll see how he does this round. Well, Lefty, I think Jeff Stallard was on the cast and them. And Lefty just put it on him. And Dual's like, "Yeah, we're going to buy him. We're going to buy him." And I was thinking, oh, God, I don't want to sell this dog. So I about backed out. And they end up paying me for him the next round. And I hunted in the top 6. And I think the Screamer dog, I drew the Screamer in the heads up round. And she ended up beating me. And because I think Lefty took some minus right off the get go. But anyhow, I was just sick for selling the dog. I did not want to sell it. But for that kind of money, you had to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Dual and Dual said, "Well, if we ever go to sell him back, we'll give you first chance." And I was thinking, well, I ain't giving nowhere near that back for him. But anyhow,
Yeah. When,
But so yeah, I sold Lefty to him that night at the Super Stakes.
yeah, you and I think the same way you do. I'll just throw out this big number and nobody's going to pay that. But you know, especially sounds like during that time was when Ike was probably buying a bunch of dogs, and
Oh
they
yeah,
were paying big money for them too.
but yeah, they end up taking him down there, and they won like $3,000. He was second in the breed or second in their state race, and then they got in the top 16 in a truck hunt with him, and then what else did they win? He So then actually I got him back. I bought him back, and I They had him about 9 months. But that's when I had bought Gaucho. So I sell Lefty for stupid money on Friday night. And on Sunday, I was calling Randy Smith down in Mississippi, a black and tan guy, that I'd gave Gaucho to as a pup. Because Randy Smith's real good with young dogs.
Yep.
And he's a good dog trainer. And I asked him if he'd sell Gaucho, because Gaucho was like a 3/4 brother to Lefty. So he was off a Poncho and a buddy female. And that's what Sadie was a buddy female. But this Gaucho's mom's name's B, Black River B. And he said, no, I don't think I'll sell him. And then it wasn't 10 minutes later, he called me back and he gave me a price on him. Well, which, I didn't want people knowing what I sold Lefty for, so I didn't tell anybody. And because I didn't want them to overprice a dog to me. And Randy priced Gaucho, which was more than I had ever gave for a dog. But I ended up buying him. That's when I bought Gaucho.
Yeah. And now that we made it to that dog,
Mm-hmm.
I guess before you tell kind of a whole lot about him, he's had some health issues, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that first, because to me, I think the most impressive thing. I mean, the dog's done some winning, and is he who you were hunting down at the Winter Classic this year at the Pro
Yeah.
Slam? Yeah.
Yep.
I seen him down there, and I kind of heard some of the story about it, but I mean that dog's got to have some type of heart for sure.
Oh, it's ungodly. What that dog's been through has been crazy. So I get him, and it's right before I think it was at the end of May. I end up getting him up here, and I start hunting him, and I won a few casts with him. I won blue tick days with him. He placed third both nights in the Grand Nights, and then there was a pro slam hunt I take him to in Muncie. He wins it, and then the next morning I go out to the kennel, and he's like puking and stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? It's like, and my sister's a vet, and I called her up, and she's like, well, bring him up here and see what's going on. So when we rolled him over on the table, you could see in his abdomen a big knot going right in his groin, and his testicle had went all the way up into his groin area. And I mean, I got pictures of it all. It's hard to explain, but anyhow, so he has an inguinal hernia. It happens a lot in pigs. So his part of his intestines came in where his testicle was. So that part had died. There was just a small section that had died. So she has to go in there. She removes the testicle and she removes the part of intestines that is dead. So she sews him back up. I'm thinking, all right, we're good. 6 days later, I was out cleaning the kennels, just keeping an eye on him. And he starts thrashing around in the kennel and like puking. And I'm thinking, oh, something's going on. Call her back up. She said, it sounds like it's came apart. So I take him back up there. They open him back up. And she has to remove 80% of his small intestines now. And the small intestines is what absorbs all your nutrition. That's where your nutrition comes from, is through your small intestine. So she gives him like a 15% chance of actually living. So I'm thinking, oh, this, he's probably going to die. So that was 3 years ago. I think it was 3, maybe 4. It might have been 3 now. But anyhow, I didn't hunt him until October. And then I started taking him hunting. He was a 62-pound dog. And at one point, he'd got down to 47 pounds. And, in a dog, that's from 62 pounds in hunting shape to 47 pounds is crazy.
Yeah.
But I had won I think it was 43 out of 50 cast after his surgery. And he's the type of dog that you don't have to hunt other than take to the hunt. He has spoiled me on that.
Yeah.
And you can't push him hard because he gets dehydrated. So when I go to the winter classic, the bigger hunts that I'm hunting multiple nights, I bring IV bags and I sub Q fluids into him because he'll get dehydrated. And I've tried just about every diet known to man to try to keep weight on this dog, and it's been a struggle because there's times, when I'm really hunting him at the winter classic and stuff, and he's down to 50 pounds when he should be 60, and people's looking at you like, you need to feed that dog. Well, if you knew what I've been through, it's crazy that he's even alive.
And able to do what he loves to do.
And I mean, I know when he's like at the winter classic when I'd hunted 4 nights in a row, that last night, when he's ready to go, he'll start barking in the box. And there's a few nights that you're like, oh, he's not barking yet. But then you get closer to the woods, starts barking, and you're like, okay, I'm good. But he's one of a kind. He's been very good to me for what he's been through,
Yeah. Well,
and he's won a lot.
I had kind of heard some of that story, and I thought, man, for one, for the dog to still be alive, but for two, to be able to take him and actually compete and win hunts all over the country, and I mean, you would think that he probably don't feel good, all the time, with that much of his small
Mm,
intestines gone, and
no,
for him to have the heart to, you can't. That's what I guess impressed me the most. You can't train. I don't even know if you can breed for that kind of heart in an animal. I mean, I think every time I've heard anything about the dog or heard the story, that always comes to my mind of just how much heart it would take in him just to want to do it.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's just crazy to know. I would have never guessed that I could still hunt him and compete with him after 3 years of doing this. And you don't know what his life expectancy is. He just turned 5, and somebody, the older he gets, it's probably going to be harder to keep the weight on him. So I don't know how long we'll have him.
Yeah. So, are you able to breed him? Being the
Yeah, I've
okay,
I've got I think there's 3 litters out of him, or 4, 3. I think the oldest litter's 14 months old.
okay, yeah.
And
I didn't know with the surgery that they had to do. I didn't know if that kept him from being able to be bred or
well,
not.
he's never bred nothing live, and this is like when Poncho. I think I bred 12 females 1 month with Poncho, and that kind of got to his head. And when you was still hunting them, they kind of act a little stupid sometimes when he bred that many females. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to AI. And I went to school to learn to do the AI and stuff, and I've been pretty good at it. So I just collect him and AI. He's never actually even bred a female like live.
Okay, yeah, um, yeah. Well, like I said, that's probably the dog I've heard the most about. I mean, I've heard of Lefty and Poncho and a couple of the others, but he's probably the one that I've heard the most about. Like I said, it just really stuck out to me of how much heart that dog has to have to just the will to just keep wanting to go. And I wasn't sure if he was able to breed him or not with
Yep.
the surgery that he had to have.
Yep. Actually, the Cardi B's getting ready to have a litter any day out of him this week.
So over over the years, have you always collected all your male dogs, or you just collecting
I
some?
I
Or
got frozen. I got frozen semen on all of them. I got frozen semen on Buddy, Hammer, Rapper, Poncho, Lefty, and Gaucho.
Is that just a practice you just decided to do years ago of, I'm gonna have these dogs and I want to keep this going, so I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and take them and get them
And
collected.
yep, that Dean Beitzel, he was real known and real good. He only lived about 45 minutes away from me when he was alive. And when I was winning with Buddy all the time, I was always real nervous about, I was like, I got to get him collected in case something happens. And so then I just started taking, I think I got probably 20 breedings on Buddy and the same on Rapper. And then Hammer, I only have 4 left on because I only had him collected one time and ended up getting 6 breedings on his first one. But and he was 10 years old when I had him collected.
So, and you've had several frozen litters, right?
Oh yeah, yep. And it seemed like I, I hear people say, oh, I don't know if that frozen semen and dogs are going to be any good. Well, I've had multiple once off frozen semen been good.
That's where I was going with that because I've heard the same thing of, I don't know if that frozen, is all that it's cracked up to be, and maybe it's better just to continue on with the newer stuff. But if you don't save what you have in the beginning, how are you ever going to go back to the well if you need to?
Well, like I said, Hammer was 10 years old when I had him collected, and I've used that semen twice and got good ones out of both litters. And,
Well, so I'm just going to go out on a limb here and guess that Chad has probably got something out there in the kennel besides Gaucho, especially with the health issues that Gaucho has had. So, what do you got something out there you're working on,
well,
or?
I had another young dog that's off of Lefty and the dog named Handout. His name's Hondo. I actually sold half of him because I'm 44 and I got 2 kids now, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So
Oh yeah,
I
you are
started a little
busy.
late in life. So I started a little late in life, and I partnered up with Hondo up in with Ed Adair up in New York, and he had some dogs off the same line of dogs, and I knew he'd really hunt him more than I could at this time, and I actually have quite a few young dogs that are. I got some in the starting pen right now. I got 3 down at a guy's named Rex Robinson's starting pen now. So
Well,
hopefully one of them and are going to turn out. And then my buddy Trace that I always give them to, he actually had Hondo, and I got him off of Hondo, or got Hondo off of him 2 years ago. I think Hondo just turned 3. He's a night champion, almost a grand night. He's real nice. But he's got a female pup off of Gaucho and Lefty's sister. That's, I think she's 11 months old. So I'll end up with her back.
I'm gonna have to become friends with this guy or something. This is crazy. I'm sitting here trying to think how many dogs you've got back from this guy that has went out
Oh, yeah.
and done some
Well,
winning.
there's actually another one named Gary Talon has him. His name's Coin. He's off of Hammer and Sadie. He's off of Hammer Seaman and Sadie, and that's what he's a little bit younger than Lefty. So I just got Lefty off of Trace, and he had that one named Coin, and he was like 9 months old. And I think Trace, he for some reason he wanted rid of him, and I was like, I don't need him right now. And then Jeff Nelson ended up buying him, and then sold him to Gary Talon, and Gary Talon's done real well with him and won a bunch with him. But yeah, Trace, he's got an act for them pups, and like I said, now they'll be trashy when you get them back.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but I've had pretty good luck with them.
I'd say so because I'm sitting here thinking he's mentioned this guy's name on every dog. I think, or pretty close anyway. I
Well,
mean,
from he had Poncho, he had Lefty, he had Hondo, and then he had uh the Coin dog. Yep. So he's had a few of them.
yeah, yeah. Sounds like he's definitely got something worked out over there. That's for sure. Wow.
Well, the key is he lets them run loose and be dogs. Like he lets them run loose on his farm, and I think that's the key. Like from the time they're pups, a dog that can run loose can just learn so much more.
Yeah, fortunately I do live in a spot where I can let one run loose, and the little male pup that I've got now. Well, I went on a mission trip back in April to Honduras with my youngest daughter, and he got locked up when I left to go on that missions trip, and that was the first time he's ever been locked up in a pen in his life. And
Hmm.
they just, I thought, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but to me, I'm like you. They kind of learn how to go through the woods. They just learn. I mean, I know they can probably pick up bad habits too, but I feel like most of that stuff you can straighten out when you need to. But I started when I got back, just started like turning him loose in the afternoons and letting him just run, and then I'd lock him back up at night or whatever. And he got where he was treeing squirrels here around the house, and so the opportunity come up to put him in this pen, to kind of get him going, and the guy may hunt him on the outside some for me too once he kind of gets him up and going. But um, when I took him up there, the guy said, people bring me these dogs and I put them in the pen. They just kind of hang around the gate here and don't really know what to do. He said, man, I turned that joker loose in there, and he said he was everywhere. And I think he's just used to being in the woods running loose.
Yep. And I actually have, I kind of forgot, but because she's in heat, a female that we call Final Four left out. She's a night champion, and she's off of a lefty and the handout. She's the litter mate to the Hondo dog. So I'm partners with her, with Brad Heil and Alan Holding on them. And then we have another litter mate to him called Letty. And my buddy Mike Poe had her for a while. She hadn't been hunted a whole lot, and need to start getting her finished out. And so I got some younger females that I need to. I always like, if you notice, most of the dogs that I hunt are off of females that off of my dogs. It's like, it just seems like that works well for me. Like, because I guess I know the female, I know what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of know what you're going to end up with before you
Yeah,
ever make the cross, and that does help, and that's a good thing about having a line of dogs for 20 years. By
yeah,
this time, you know what to expect.
oh yeah.
Um, did we miss anything in there with those dogs that you can think of?
Oh no, I know Poncho. I know I think I finished second with in the Triple Crown with him that one year, and then the next year I got third with Lefty in the Triple Crown. Then the 2 years ago I won the Triple Crown with Gaucho.
Yeah, yeah. I seen a picture of you winning the Triple Crown. I couldn't remember which dog it was.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
well, we've been at it for just over an hour. Um,
okay.
and I know I can go for whatever, but I know it's you're an hour ahead of me, so I know it's getting late, and I want to be respectful of your time. But you got any good stories you can tell us, a hunting story or something that you can think
Oh,
of?
good hunting story,
Funny,
man.
good, bad,
I'm
indifferent.
good or bad. Well, I remember one night I was hunting Poncho, and I was hunting along this creek, and I remember he was in there treed, and he was 100+ tree dog on the tree, and all of a sudden he just shuts up, and I'm like, huh. So I drove my Polaris Ranger down there about where he was treed at, and I walked in the woods, and I was like, it's showing him 40 yards away. So I'm like looking around, I'm like, where is he? And I hear him whine, and I look up, and he's about 30 foot up in a tree, a leaner he'd climbed. So I'm thinking, oh my. So I'm throwing all the brush, away from the tree and getting underneath him. And he actually slips, and he's hung by his hind leg up in the fork, and he's hanging upside down. And I'm thinking, oh, and then he finally kicks loose, and he comes down and he hits me like a ton of bricks and we both fall down. And but he was fine. But that scared me pretty good, having one climb up a tree. And I was always nervous about that.
Man, I can only imagine. I've been fortunate not have one climb like that, but I've been on some casts where something climbed, and that can be a scary situation.
Oh yeah.
And then we have caves around here. I have had one in the past that was bad to get in a cave, and that can make kind of unnerve you a little bit.
Yeah, we had to. I remember when I was just kind of getting into well, I bought my own dog. I bought a night champion once. It was a black dog, and it's probably one of the worst ones I ever bought. But anyhow, I was hunting blue dogs too at the time, and I thought, oh man, if this dog's a night champion, he's surely got to be good. That was before I really went to the hunts. And the first night I take this dog to the woods, I go just behind the house and turned him loose, and he had a good mouth on him. He's running the track. And next thing I know, he sounded like he got real far away. And I was like, huh. I was standing there in the field. Next thing I know, I could hear him underground, and he was in a tile. And he'd went in probably 300 yards across the field into this tile. Well, the tile went from like a 15-inch to a 12-inch, and he couldn't go no farther. And I remember it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I called my dad, and he comes down the farm, and there was a riser pipe right there, and he was right there. We're by the riser pipe, and we dug down and had to get a chainsaw and cut the tile because it was a new plastic tile and pull him out of there.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
That I remember I gave $3,000 for that dog, and that was the first night I took him out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get insurance on this dog, and I got up to the local insurance agent, told him I wanted insurance on the dog, and they're like, what? But that was 20 some years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, that was big money back then.
Oh yeah, and that dog was probably the worst dog I ever had. And I ended up trading him to a buddy, and actually Timmy Waters won AKC Black and Tan Days with that dog, and won a Kawasaki Mule. His name,
Oh
like I said, I hated that dog. He wouldn't hunt 10 feet from you hardly by himself.
boy,
But
that's crazy. um, well, I think we covered everything, unless there's something else that you want to talk about, or something else you can think about that you wanted to mention.
well, I think can't think right offhand right now.
I don't want to keep you up too late. I appreciate you taking time on a Sunday evening to do this, and
Yeah.
we're past evening. I know we're knocking not too far away from midnight your time, so I don't want to keep you up too late. You are definitely a busy man. If you got two small kids, a farm, and shoeing horses and trying to coon hunt, you got your hands full.
Oh yeah, never ending here.
Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast. Like I said, I'd been looking forward to this one. I really like black and tan. That's kind of what I cut my teeth on, and maybe one day I'll have one back here. But I sure was looking forward to this one, and it sure didn't disappoint. I appreciate you coming on and talking with us and kind of sharing some of your story with us.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. And Chad, just hold on here just a second. Let me get this shut down. But um,
Okay.
we appreciate everybody listening and joining us this week on the Coonhound Collective podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please go rate the show. Leave us a review. We'll read it on here, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.